Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the fact that Nolan Patrick, a former second overall pick in the NHL, is retiring from the NHL at 25 years old. So before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So yeah, as I'm getting ready to leave for work today, I get up at 4 in the morning. I'm seeing some stuff as I'm eating breakfast and checking my phone saying that Nolan Patrick at 25 years old is done in the NHL and just playing professionally. This is, not something you want to be able to see at this point in somebody's career, especially with how it ended, but it is something that now we have to talk about, going into his early career and then everything after, how all this kind of transpired. So to start off, he ends up getting drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers, second overall. Obviously, a lot of people were excited to see what he could do. Before the draft, he did have to have hernia surgery. I don't remember how long it was before, but it was relatively soon, right before the draft, like a week, maybe just a little bit over 2 weeks, something like that. So that was something to keep an eye out for. However, his first 2 seasons, he would play over 70 games in each season and get 30 points his first season and 31 his second year. So not anything crazy productive. You're not looking at this and saying this is a guy that's going to win the Calder. However, he was a guy that, again, year 2, getting about 15 minutes a night, 31 points at 20 years old. You could complain a lot less with some other guys where it takes longer for them to develop or just them getting off the slow start. However, even though, again, while he is getting game time and he is being able to get almost half a point per game, this is where the downhill form starts to come in, as he would miss the whole of the 2019-20 season with a migraine syndrome disorder. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but he was basically forced to stop playing because he was having so many migraines. Very unfortunate there. He would be able to play the next season, the 2020-2021 season. Really, it was just the entirety of the 2021 season where the year was shortened down to 56 games. He almost played in every single game, which is a good thing. However, the production wasn't really there where you're hoping, where he was a guy that was averaging about half a point per game in the first 2 seasons, whereas in his 3rd season, he had 9 points in 52 games played. And unfortunately for him, it would be the end of his time in the city of brotherly love, as he would be traded after 3 seasons with the Flyers. So basically what happens is he is traded to the Nashville Predators, kind of. They basically ship him off to Vegas. Did a video over that a couple of years ago, as there's a lot of moving pieces in that deal, and he's going to Vegas. A lot of people are hoping maybe a fresh start, getting out of Philly, he can get things going, and it's unfortunately just not the case again, as he would deal with injuries and would only play 25 games for the Golden Knights, where he would get 7 points in that time. And that would do it for him, as he would miss all of this past season, and then this year hasn't really played at all, of course, and it is now being reported that, again, he is retiring and he's done from the league. So looking at him, he's a guy that has 77 points in his career. This is where a lot of the talk seems to get, where it's not necessarily negative, but more of, man, look at what the Flyers missed out on. Why is that particularly? Well, it's because the guys that went all after him ended up or having good careers. So who was taken with the pick right after him? Miro Heiskanen for the Dallas Stars, a guy that almost averaged a point per game for Dallas and has been able to help his team go on multiple deep runs in the Stanley Cup playoffs and looks to be a huge piece of their blue line for years to come. After that, it was Cale Makar. Cale Makar needs no introduction here, a guy that's been able to average over a point per game as a defenseman, a Norris winner, a Calder winner, a Stanley Cup champion already in his young career, as the Avs still look relatively competitive in years to come. So Cale taking 2 spots after him, and then 5th, Elias Pettersson, a player that won the Calder himself, another guy that looks to be better and better, hopefully, as time goes on. Obviously, last year was a big year for him, and the Canucks are the 2nd best team in league standings right now, too. So you're just looking at the fact that even if they wouldn't have been able to get Nico Hischier was the top pick that year, they could have possibly got Miro, they could have possibly got Cale, they could have possibly got Elias. However, I look at it in this light. Obviously, when you're in that mindset, you're thinking, there's a few things you don't know about. Pettersson's size was obviously a big concern, and you have to factor in too that there are draft considerations with how your team is going to be fitting at the time, and maybe saying, well, if this guy is ready at this point, we're going to be in a good spot. So it's all very tough there. However, I kind of wanted to shift away from the negative, talking about, oh my gosh, they could have got any of these 3 really good players after him, and focus more on Cody, not really the Flyers. Yes, this is one of those deals where he is getting like 80% of his points in his career in his first 2 seasons. Yes, this is a situation where he is sitting 20th in his draft class for points and will likely continue to drift back, but there are some positives to take away from his career. looking at the fact that as a young player, taking a decent amount of faceoffs, he has a career faceoff percentage of 51%. You'll see a lot of younger guys that will come into the league and really struggle off the draw. He was not really one of those. I think he just had one season where he wasn't at 50% or better taking faceoffs, and then also he's a guy that had more takeaways than giveaways in his career, so things to just kind of be happy about for him. And at the end of the day, the biggest reason that he's retiring is clearly his health. He's had some different issues. He's had hernias, he's had upper body injuries, he's had the migraine syndrome. He is a player, or was a player, that is just a year older than me, or about 2 years older than me, and has already had to deal with so much wear and tear on his body. I think for himself, it's probably just been a mental battle over all this, and I just don't really want to label him a bust or anything like that, because again, injuries and all these things just wear at you, and I'm hoping that he still has a big passion for the game. I really don't know. I haven't kept up with his personal life since he's been drafted, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that if he does have a passion for the game, there can still be coaching for him or something like that, to where he can keep that love for the game going, just not as a player. So that is all for me. What do you think of all this with Patrick retiring? Do you think that the migraine syndrome was kind of the end of his career? Or do you think that right off the get-go with that hernia surgery, things started off rough for him? Tough to say with all this. But anyway, please leave your thoughts down below on Nolan Patrick's career. Obviously, don't be harsh, because he is an individual and a human that deserves respect. But anyway, please make sure to like this video if you found it informational. Also, subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. Eagle of Hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.